Well, how about how interesting it is now in the AFC South? With Jacksonville losing, the Texans, they're not a game back. They're really 2 games back because Jacksonville has a tiebreaker. So you went from 3 games to 2 games. And Trevor Lawrence limped off the field.
Yeah.
And C.J. Beathard had
to
come in and relieve him.
Yeah, and they lost to Jake Browning, the backup.
Yeah.
And who threw a lot of short passes but completed most of them. Look at this one. This is not – and then you have Trey Hendrickson there, taking a knee next to which is always a sign that the players know something's not good. But it is Trevor Lawrence looks like he is whatever he's got, I don't see him back next game.
Yeah, they say Tom Pelissero saying sprained ankle.
Sprained?
Walker
Little stepped on it, was pass blocking.
Your guy
and backed into him.
Your
and
guy may have
stepped on
cost
his ankle.
them a chance to make the playoffs. Well, now here come the Colts and here come the Texans.
Do you think that Walker Little did it because he's from Houston and wanted Houston to have a chance to win the division?
I mean, in this day and age, that could be a conspiracy theory that develops.
You don't know what he's got.
I don't think so, but you just never know with the conspiracy theories that develop.
Yeah.
But the Bengals beat them last night in overtime. Money McPherson ended up. Evan McPherson made a 47-yard field goal, and they ended up winning the game 34-31. So what it does is it takes the Jacksonville Jaguars from 8. They were 8-3, looking to go 9-3. But even with Trevor Lawrence, the Bengals played great. Joe Mixon had a good game. They weren't great defensively. Of course, they also made stupid. They tried a wide receiver throwback that got intercepted for a pick six.
That was a bad play. Whoever designed that.
Oh my gosh!
Speaking of kneeling around, man, when Tank is in the end zone laying down, and both teams are on their knees
I'm
praying.
Like, oh
what?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's when you know something's really bad on the field. They can tell, and they could tell his broken bone and how much he was yelling and in pain.
So D'Amico confirmed it yesterday. First thing that he talked about yesterday was Tank Dell, and he's done for the season. Broken fibula, had surgery. Here's D'Amico talking about the Tank Dell situation.
Yeah, unfortunate for Tank, he'll be out for the rest of the season. He had a successful surgery this morning, so on to a speedy recovery. Our prayers are with Tank. Our thoughts are with him. It's been such an inspiration for our team. Just incredible young man. Happy for the season that he has as a rookie and the impact that he has as a person, as a player for our organization. But we expect to get him back for before next off-season program.
So I listened to so many hosts yesterday throughout, and talking both ways out of them. I've heard guys saying, why run Tank? He's too valuable. Why is Tank punt returning? You can't have him returning punts anymore. He's too valuable. And then, well, that's just a football play that happened. No, it's not just a football play that happened. You don't have to have a 160-pound guy inside blocking on a 1-yard run.
It's a football play. It's just a football play that didn't need to happen.
It doesn't have to happen.
Guy.
Yes, for that guy. That guy doesn't have to do
There's
that.
different Tank rules.
Yes, you send him in a motion. You use him as a decoy. He will block his guy. You know what? It might as well be blocking his guy, because if you run a jet sweep with him and fake it or whatever, somebody's going to follow him and ain't going to be able to tackle a ball carrier 1 yard on a 1-yard play.
We Bryce Young, just for the sake of, just so you understand what we're talking about here, Tank's about 30 to 35 pounds lighter than Bryce Young, who's tiny.
Yeah.
So that's what we're dealing with here. That's why those guys don't play in the NFL. Tank is an outlier, so treat him like an outlier. Like, I'm okay with having him have some run plays. I'm okay with him. To me, it's getting to the point where you punt return him when you need it, when you need something big.
Yeah.
But I've seen him kind of hobble around after a punt return because he's a guy that's
he got hit in the quad once, and he ran off the field. He continued to play, but he had that quad all week.
Yeah, certain things are going to hurt him a little bit more. But that one would have potentially broken anyone's leg. I mean, it's not just because it's Tank.
No, right.
So I recognize it. And as somebody mentioned before, I don't know who it was, I don't think there's any scientific fact that little bones heal faster.
Yeah.
But you've said that because you heard it from someone else.
Yeah.
Maybe Branham or something.
No. I forget who it was.
Just a guy on Twitter.
No, it was it was on the. I think it might have been BK.
It was Dr. Nick.
Doctor who?
Dr. Nick from The Simpsons.
No, I think it wasn't Dr.
Are
Nick
you
from The
sure
Simpsons.
he's not the one who told you
It's not, no.
that little bones heal faster?
It might have
No,
been.
I think
it
it was
Brad
BK.
Kellner. Yeah,
It was.
it was Brad Kellner.
It was Brad Kellner from that show. Yeah, that show that's no longer with us.
Well, the
Rest in
entire
peace.
crew,
Yeah.
except for
Rest in-
Andrew.
rest in peace.
The lone survivor is Andrew Carlson.
You're right. No. Andrew. Yeah, he was
it
able
was like Yellow Jackets, but only with.
hopefully he
living.
jumped off that boat in time with the.
So-
and you-
I don't know how everything went down. I just know Andrew's the only one left.
Yeah. So anyway, it's well, I thought it was interesting that he was not asked about why Tank was in on that play.
right.
I don't think he would. I think he would have given you. He wouldn't have said something like, "That's going to be a play for Slow." That's going to be a. I think it's going to be a question for Bobby Slowick on Thursday, but I expect Slowick to be a little bit defensive about it. To be honest with you, because no one wants to be known as the guy that. I mean, it's not his fault that Tank got hurt, but it kind of is his fault because in that personnel grouping, you kind of have to protect Tank against himself. That's one. If Bobby had it to do all over again, he ain't having Tank in on that grouping. He'll bring somebody else in. He'll go with an extra tight end. Obviously, if he had to do it all over again, he wouldn't do it. But if you ask him about it, I don't think that's one he's going to admit to, honestly.
Yeah, probably not. 713-780-3776
Let's take a
the
look
number.
at the AFC, right?
Right.
So listen to this, John. Listen to where we are right now. As we approach next week, I'm going to assume that Trevor Lawrence misses next week. I think that's a fair assessment. Probably. Okay, so we've got the Jets. Do they have their starting quarterback?
The Jets do not have their starting
What
quarterback.
about the Pittsburgh?
We don't believe anyway.
Right. What about
Because
Pittsburgh?
that'll be a game time decision whether or not Aaron Rodgers.
Well,
is
he's
back.
missed all year.
Right.
Aaron
Right.
Rodgers.
Right.
I mean, how about Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh?
He's out.
He's hurt. He's hurt right now. Cleveland Browns. Deshaun.
Hurt.
Cincinnati Bengals. Burrow.
Hurt.
Out for the year. Jacksonville.
Hurt.
Indianapolis.
Hurt. Well, I don't know. I think they're better off right now where they're at.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But he
they
makes a
won
lot
it.
of mistakes, though. Minshew
he
makes a lot of bad
and-
mistakes. He did just the other day.
Like, okay.
and
Anthony wouldn't?
Well,
Yeah, I don't. But Anthony has the running element, which is such a big deal.
Yeah.
We've seen it with Lamar. We've seen it with Jalen Hurts.
but
Like,
either way, he was their starter and he's gone.
yeah, he's the starter and he's gone. And then you get to
Is Tua really the starter in Miami?
What about and the Raiders?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
he is.
And the
He
Raiders
won
are.
the job. He won the job at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I was thinking about this.
Wait,
yeah.
who are the Raiders?
Aiden O'Connell. He wasn't
but-
their initial starter.
No, he
Jimmy
wasn't.
Jimmy
Garoppolo.
was.
And then Jimmy's
got-
hurt, right?
yeah.
No, Jimmy's hurt.
Yeah, so
of course Jimmy's hurt.
Look at all those AFC teams
Yeah.
with
So
quarterbacks.
what are we finding out? It's tough to play quarterback in the NFL as far as avoiding injury. So maybe calling someone injury prone because they have concussions ain't nice, John.
Well,
What are you talking
That's
about?
just John's move.
What are you talking about? I've never said anything about anybody's concussions.
Okay.
I'm like an advocate. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So no, I'm just wondering if it's okay. So Tua is a real starter in the league. Lamar
Another guy who's been injured
is
quite a bit.
Was Pat Mahomes
But
their,
Lamar's been.
Why are you
was
asking?
Pat Mahomes their original starter?
No, he was not. Well, not in 2017, but since 2017, since 2018, he's
Okay.
been the starter. Yes.
All right, so he's been their starter. That's the three. And guess who's on top in the division? In the
Oh, you mean
conference?
when your starting quarterbacks can last through 12 games, you got a shot to
You
lead
got
the
a
division?
chance to be on top.
Imagine that.
But listen, you got Pittsburgh that's 7-5, Cleveland at 7-5, Colts are 7-5, and the Texans who are 7-5. This week, Jacksonville plays Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville plays Cleveland.
That was a big win over Denver, by the way.
So
Big
would
win
it
from a
be would
head-to-head
it behoove
standpoint.
the Texans more? Is it better for their playoff life if Jacksonville wins or Cleveland
Jacksonville?
wins? If Jacksonville wins.
Yeah, because like you said, you're kind of two back on
Yeah.
Jacksonville. So if Jacksonville with Beathard was able, man, this is the battle of terrible. But it's two very good defenses. We're going to see an Iowa total like 28.5. It will realistically we'll probably see like 32.5. But Yeah, I think it's better to try to get Cleveland out of there. I think that's realistically. I think you're shooting for wild card, and I think you got a really good chance. Pittsburgh can't score. Look how bad they were this week. Look how bad the backups are right now.
Yeah.
Backup quarterbacks. I mean, honestly, Skills Mills, that guy's 2-0 whenever he takes a snap this year. I think he's taken 2 snaps
Unfortunately,
in 2 games, and they won both of them. Worst case scenario, he's a really good luck charm, John.
yeah. Well, unfortunately for us, Pittsburgh plays New England this week, which is probably the worst.
Well,
team
why
in
don't
football.
you?
The worst team in football is New England. Yeah,
I mean, they are really.
they're really pitiful.
Does anyone have fewer points? 148 points. Nope. And it's actually not that. Well, the Giants have 159, but yeah, this is the worst.
Jacksonville to Cleveland. I'm not sure that Jacksonville wins that game with C.J. Beathard. I'm not sure.
I'm not either, but they're at Cleveland, right?
Well, the problem is with Cleveland, Denzel Ward didn't play, and then Myles Garrett couldn't even. He was so bad. Like he played, he tried to go, but he was awful, and he was so hurt that he couldn't even put on his own shirt after the game. Like someone had to help him put on a shirt. So he probably shouldn't have played, but he went out there and was ineffective, and he can't even function. So we saw Cleveland's defense against that Rams offense. Now it was Matthew Stafford and Nakua, but they're not the same if Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett can't go.
Well, no.
No.
Two of their better players on defense. The best in the secondary, the best up front. So, no, the Texans, provided now they lost. They didn't lose a quarterback, but they lost their quarterback's best friend, and literally and figuratively, in Tank Dell, and that's a big problem.